Hey guys, Kirk here from Kirk's Aquariums, bringing you our first ever episode of this YouTube channel. First episode, thought I'd just sort of introduce myself and show you guys my small little fish room that I've got set up. And so without further ado, I'll get to it. Alrighty, so I thought I'd start off by showing you guys my little fry rack that I've been inspired to build by Dean from Aquarium Co-op. There is a lot of little baby bedders in here that I need to figure out what to do with soon, because they are almost ready to come out of this tray, actually well and truly ready to come out of this tray, to be honest. On the tray next to it we have some baby angels. These guys are about a week and a half, 2 weeks old. Yeah, about 2 weeks old these guys are. So these guys are getting ready to come out of this tray as well. Just finding space where to put them. I'm a very, very small fish room, so I don't have a lot of space. And breeding angels was something that I have recently really wanted to start doing, and I've started doing it, and now it's a fair few angels. So these guys are about just on a week old. This was a pretty decent sort of spawn. There's probably a fair few more bound behind the guppy grass there, and some bit of hair algae as well, but as you can see, there's a few in here. They've had some baby brine shrimp this morning, so they're almost ready to have some bit more soon. But anyway, so that's what's going on in this little tank. There's only 3 racks at the moment. I'm actually moving house soon, so the whole breeding is coming to a halt, because I won't have enough time to be able to raise them all up and get rid of them before I have to pull this fish room down and move. So I'm sort of just, this is my last batch of any sort of fry that I'm going to be raising for a while, and hopefully I can get these raised up and other, sent to local fish shops or other, hobbyists within the next couple of months before I move. So that's what's going on in here. In this one here, we have about 3 to 4 week old baby angels, which I have culled a couple of times. Unfortunately, that's something you also run into, is when you're breeding angelfish, is you will have to cull for deformities. There's still a couple in here that I need to sort of cull out. There's one down here that's not swimming so well, so he's going to be probably culled. But for the most part, these goldens are looking not too bad at about 4 weeks old. I'll probably cull them one more time before I make the final count on how many's in here. But there was about 45, 50 the last time I checked. So I'll show you down here is the actual parents of these all these baby angels. So the golden is Susan is her name. So even though it's a male, she is about 3.5, 4 years old now, and at the time when I bought her, and bought Marty as well, which is your golden sort of marble angelfish, if you will, I didn't know how to sex angelfish, and they were very small, and I didn't know the sex, but their names came before I knew their sex, so I couldn't really change the name. So Marty sort of gets called Martini because that's actually the female there, and Susan is actually the male. But we have a lot of history, me and Susan, so she goes a while back now. As I say, I've had her for about 3.5, 4 years, and she is a lot of personality, but I love her. She's probably one of my favorite fish, and these two have just been pumping out eggs almost every single week, decent sized spawns, but I have been feeding them quite heavily and doing quite large water changes as well, so that also helps trigger the breeding. But now I've sort of cut back on the feeding. I was feeding them twice a day with frozen bloodworms and flake food and stuff like that as well, but I've sort of cut it back now to once a day, because I don't really want them to breed anymore. And if they do breed, they do always breed now on the slate that I've got at the back here, and I usually pull the slate out, but I am going to keep leaving the slate in, because they are not very good parents. They constantly, after a dozen or more now spawns, they still will eat their eggs for some reason. So if I don't pull the eggs out and hatch them myself, they will eat the eggs. So I'm not sure I do have like 3 bronze Corydoras somewhere in here as well, but I'm not sure if they're eating the eggs. I don't think so, but I can't have any more baby angels at the moment, as I'm gonna be having to tear all this down and moving. So that's what's going on in that tank there. Back up here, we've got these guys are probably about 2.5, 3 weeks old in this tank. It's a small tank for raising angels, and I'm probably going to get criticized a bit for it, but I do decent sized water changes twice a week with my fry tanks. I know I'm probably supposed to be raising them up in bigger tanks, and I do once they get bigger. It's just I have no more space, and I can't justify buying more tanks and bigger tanks right now when I'm only going to have to tear it all down in like a couple of months and have to move it all anyway. So I'm working with what I've got. Yes, it's probably not ideal, I understand that, but you know, I do almost 50% water changes on these ones twice a week, and it doesn't shock the system doing a water change twice a week. These tanks have been very, very long cycled, and so that's what's going on in this tank. I don't know how many's in here. Honestly, I've lost count on how many angelfish I actually have growing up at the moment in this small room, but there is a fair few in here. So moving over to this tank, we have a herd of guppies. This tank is actually, surprising enough, this tank actually handles itself so well. I think it's just the sheer amount of plants I have growing in here as well. I do feed it pretty heavily. There's a lot of baby guppies in here, as you can see, and it was covered with a lot of hair algae before and a lot of duckweed. There's still a fair bit up there, as you can see, but I did try and clean it up a bit yesterday, and so there's a fair few guppies in here. I'm probably going to try and get rid of the majority of these guys, because these are just your standard sort of guppies. I just sort of made a bit of a colour about 3 years ago, and that's sort of all I came up with, was this, which is what you see in other fish. You know, you see this in plenty of fish shops as well. You know, he's on his way out. He's actually quite old. I've had that male in particular. He's got a bent spine and stuff now. You know, I've had him for about almost 4 years, which is crazy long for a guppy, in my opinion, because guppies these days are, in my opinion, not as strong as they probably used to be, just because of inbreeding and stuff. But you know, I could be wrong. I just see a lot of people buying guppies because you see them in almost every pet store, every fish shop, and I also hear a lot about people losing guppies as well. So, but you know, that's just a little project I was working on that's now just, I leave this tank alone. I still water change it every week and stuff like that, but with it, I don't lose fish out of this tank. Like I said, I've had some of these guppies for like 4 years in this tank, so you know, never had a problem. Some of these big females here, you know, I've had them for, they were my own generation, my first generation, and then I just really like the colour that came out of their tail, sort of like a pale sort of flamey looking colour, and I went with it. And now this is a different male here. This guy here, he doesn't have the dots on him, but he has a really long fin on the top there, so it almost hangs all the way down him. So he was really cool. But that's what's going on in that tank. And moving over, we've got some more angels here. These guys, again, I got to go through and colour a few, but I thought I'd show you exactly what's going on rather than just perfect every time. So I'm not some crazy master breeder or anything like that. You know, most people have success with guppies, and when you talk about laying fish laying eggs and raising them up from eggs and feeding the fry, you know, you start hatching baby brine shrimp and stuff like that. It's a lot different from the guppies. They sort of take care of themselves, as long as you like have enough food in there and have enough coverage where the baby sort of can stay away from the adults, so they don't get eaten, and they get enough, you know, flake food or something like that to grow. Then, you know, most people have success with guppies. But these guys, you don't feed them baby brine, or you don't feed them like micron sort of powder food on the first couple of days of hatching. You know, you're not going to have a lot of success with these guys. So more angels in here. I've just got a lot of angels going on at the moment. There's a pleco one, bristlenose pleco in here as well, sort of just keeping things sort of half under control with the algae. A lot of hair algae. I just I'll probably leave my lights on a little bit too long, and that just fuels algae. So I can fix that. I like looking at my fish, and I know that I leave my lights on for too long, but hey. These are a little project I bought, and it was a bit of a crazy thing. I bought 6 adult, now they're called red tuxedo guppies, and I bought them, and they had babies within like 3 days after I brought them home to my tank and put them in the tank. Every single adult died, and I still to this day don't know what I did wrong, because when a fish dies, I always blame myself first before I blame anything. So I don't know what I did wrong. I've researched and researched, and these guys are basically treated like baby angels, and they're growing quite well in here. I've got some guppy grass going on here, again with some hair algae and some java fern, but that's what's going on in this tank. So raising them up, I'm going to try and build a colony of them. When I move house, these guys will be coming with me, and we'll be trying to raise up a farm, not a farm, but a decent amount of these guys, just to colonize them a bit. Down here, you probably won't see them, but I have a couple of pairs of German blue rams. I have not had success with getting them to lay eggs, but at the same time, I haven't put a great deal of effort into the rams at the moment. One, because rams are a lot harder to breed than an angelfish typically. The fry are, basically half the size of angelfish fry, and they do take a while to mature up to, sellable size, and I just don't have the time, literally, before I have to move out of this house to justify trying to have even more fry going on at the moment than what I've currently got, because it's a ticking time bomb at the moment. If I don't get rid of all these fish before I have to move, it's going to be, do I try and move all these fish with me when I move, but I'm risking losing a lot, so that's a whole new thing that will come later on. But this is another lot of angels in here, so there's just a lot of angelfish in my fish room at the moment, just baby angels. I do love my angelfish. They're probably one of my favorite fish besides German blue rams, or just rams in general. But yeah, just a heap of angelfish. So we'll move over to the big one. This is what not started my hobby, this is just what really accelerated my hobby. I bought this tank secondhand off Gumtree, if you will, and I bought it really cheap, and I did a lot of work to the cabinet, and it was my first time, and I painted it black and put the cute little fish handles on the door handles there. But this was a big learning curve for my hobby, and having a tank this size. I learnt just how many fish you can put in here, how many fish you shouldn't put in here, but this is a 800 litre, 6 foot by 2 foot by 2.5 foot, I believe. It's got a lot of different tetras in it. We'll get in a bit closer here. We've got some Siamese algae eaters in here. These guys are some pretty big ones in here actually. So there's a nice little school of them, just doing their job and keeping all my plants that are in here nice and free of algae and stuff like that. We've got some albino cories in here as well, doing their things, so they keep the bottom, I guess, stirred up and get their food. Some decent sized black phantoms in here. We've got some longfin serpe tetras, some glow lights. What else have we got? We've got Elmo. They say when I bought him, he was a red devil angelfish, which I'm pretty sure is just a name for a red koi angel. We've also got Pearl Jam, which is the blue sapphire. I'm not sure if she's a blue sapphire or a Philippine blue, but she is a very pretty angelfish herself. So what else have we got? We've got some longfin black widow or black skirt tetras here. That's not a longfin one. There is a longfin one here. So I really like the longfin version of fish. I like longfins. It's just what I like. We've got some beautiful lemon tetras. There's about 30 of them in here. We got a small school of cardinal tetras and a beautiful but bully male German blue ram. So he's quite nice. He's beautiful in colour. I've had him for about 2.5 years now, this guy. He's bred with a female, but he's also killed 3 females that I have paired him off with. So he's a bit of a bully, and I sort of given up breeding with him. So I've just sort of put him by himself in this huge tank, and now he sort of just blends in nicely. So that's kind of my fish room. I'll sort of wrap it up there, but I'm gonna make some future videos and some more sort of educational videos, but look forward to seeing you guys, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks guys, see you next time.